Isa pang medyo quirky rin na topic, no? Kaya nagmamatch yung mga themes today, no? We have Yzekiel Rivera is a first-year political science major. He graduated with honors in several extracurricular achievements from Lourdes School of Mandaluyong. A creative writer at heart, he became the editor-in-chief for his school publication, The Link. He was a STEM graduate with initial intentions of going to medical school, but had been politically awakened at the height of the pandemic. He is a loving father to several cats, Kim, Yogi, and Corner, and he is currently the chairperson of the Freshie, Shiftee, and Transferee Council of the UP College of Social Sciences and Philosophy. So we have with us Zeke. Palakpakan natin.
Ayan. Okay. Before we start the speech, I would like to say na trigger warning lang kasi it will be multiple mentions of that. Not necessarily just that. So, ayan. Gusto ko muna, before we start, mabilis ang show of hands. Sino dito ang BS org sa atin? Kahit sino? Or kahit may mga extracurricular? Grabe, wala. Ano? Ayan. Okay. Next naman, sino dito sa atin yung mga ACAD achievers? Books, wala rin. Oh my God. Okay, paano to? Okay, and lastly, ito na lang. Pero seryosa, sino dito yung mga may pangarap sa atin? Mga may ambisyon? Ayan. Ito ang huling kong tanong. Sino dito, kailan nyo gusto mamatay? Kasi ako, personally, kabaong na lang pati pantalon, di ba? Okay na yun, di ba? Okay na ako. Pero, let's think about this way. Kasi that will eventually happen to all of us. Eventually, all of us will die. And usually, kasi, we don't care about it too much. Pero, we're still in our 20s, 90s, or 19, sorry. Pero, once na lumabas tayo sa kalendaryo, there's that worry existence sa unfulfilled existence natin. And that is scary for some of us. Usually, ang nagiging introduction sa atin sa death, it's very strange. Sometimes it's a pet, it's a family, or a friend. Sometimes it's taught to us in different manners. Usually, ang nagiging sinasabi ng mga parents pag namamatay yung aso, ay pumunta siya sa farm or na hindi natin ma-reach kung isda man o pumunta siya sa Manila Ocean. Sobrang saya na niya. Hindi na natin siya mapupuntahan. And that is what I want to talk about. What if we were blissfully ignorant of the inevitable? What if we never learned the thought of death? Usually kasi ang inisip natin kung mamamatay tayo ay gusto kong mamatay na accomplished. Or at the very least may gusto kong makuha, meron akong closure. We want to die on our own terms. We would want to die na meron tayong nagawa. In the Philippines, ang average life expectancy natin ay 72. For us, give or take, mga 5 to 6 decades. So, ayan, age ko ngayon, 19. So, whoosh! Sobrang onti na lang. If you would think about it in a linear scale. But, even when we're thinking of it, we come to think of it as unprepared. We are very unprepared of that, even though we are trying to see na we are very accepting of it. It's just a thing that will happen. There is this one character sa The Good Place. I'm not sure if you have heard it. Si Michael. It's basically very he's an eternal being, very invincible. So hindi siya very familiar with human fragility. When he was introduced by a philosopher to the concept of death, boosh, ganyan yung mukha, and we come to realize na, this is not very far from how we come to think of death. Death for us is, I would say, not foreign because we have seen it in our linguistic aspects, in our cultural aspects. We can see it in our religion. Sa Roman Catholicism, usually, ang sinasabi natin, death gives the meaning of life, sanctity of life. In Hinduism, meron tayong concept ng karma. Kung meron tayong iniisip na actions, we have to weigh in ano ba itong ginagawa, ano bang mangyayari sa future ko. And sa culture naman, madaming tayong makikita sa Pilipinas pa lamang. Isa sa mga nakikita natin, sobrang haba sa atin ng mga morning periods. Meron tayong long periods of grief. Usually salamay na rin yon. Nakikita natin na may pagpag, pupunta ka muna sa ibang lugar. Kung may paru-paro kang nakita, uy, yun yung pumanaw, yun yung tatay mo. Tatay ko paru-paro. So, ang weird na, ang dami nating notions of death, and even then, we still are unfamiliar with it. We're still unfamiliar with that. We come to think of it na, kaya, Azik, anong paki ko? Ang haba pa ng ang dami ko pang oras. Ang dami ko pang oras para ayusin ang lahat. And I would say na, maybe, Bruce Grayson, psychiatry professor sa University of Virginia, has shown a study na yung mga nag-experience ng near-death experiences become more altruistic. They become more engaged in charitable events and they try to do things that they would normally would not do when before they had the wake-up call. For us, kailan ba yung wake-up call na yun? Kailan ba tayo magbabago? Kailan ba tayo magsisimula na gumawa ng a little bit good in our world? When I would say na, eto pa, Dizzy, ano gusto mo? Immortal na tayo lahat. Do we have to have immortality? But when we never thought of that, when we never learned the thought of that, we would be so miserable. Immortality is not the cure of it all. Immortality is also just as miserable because we have prolonged existence and we come to think na our actions don't have weight or meaning kasi we can do over and over again. We can try over and over again. And I would say na I don't prescribe I would not say na immortality is not the cure. I would say na even in the face of immortality, I would prescribe that to be the piece of it all. I would say na in our religions, we are saying na may weight ang actions natin because they will be in value of our next life. Whether we'll go to heaven, whether kung sa Hinduism, whether we'll be a panda or a frog. Ang sinasabi natin, ganun yung, that's the reason why we should do good. It's because in our next life, we could become more relaxed, more at peace. But I would like to propose to you another way to think of it. Our actions have meaning because we will die. At the very least, our actions, it's something that we cannot do or undo. But we have the imperative to do so just because. When we also always think of that, we will be always paralyzed. Kasi inaction will always turn na, ay, baka pag ginawa ko to, mamamatay ako. Pag ginawa ko to, mamamatay rin ako. So, ano gagawin ko? Wala. So tameme tayo? Siyempre hindi. I believe na when we think of things, we do things, we come to learn na that is just there. It just comes and knocks so often na we would have to learn to live anyway. We would not be able to think about it. Kung meron man tayong recent experience on death, we just come to accept it. Life goes on, and yet life will go on without them, without the people we love. And even in this class, we will die. Our words spoken will die. The ideas we have imparted to each other will die, and yet we go on. I would like to end with a quote from, again, The Good Place. Picture a wave. In the ocean, you can see it, measure it, its height, the way the sunlight refracts when it passes through. And it's there. You can see it, you know what it is. It's a wave. And then it crashes in the shore. And it's gone. But the water is still there. The wave was just a different way for the water to be for a little while. The wave returns to the ocean, where it came from, and where it's supposed to be. Thank you.